guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review on all of my eyeshadow palettes. So in today's video, you are going to see me rate my palettes on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the worst and 10 being the best. So let's go ahead and dive right into this video. The first palette that I'm going to be doing a review on is going to be the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia. So this palette, I'm just going to go ahead and open it. I'm going to let you kind of see how much I've used of it. So this palette right here, I'm going to give a solid 9 out of 10. Yes, that is a really high rating, and I'm going to tell you why. So at first, when I first got this palette, I didn't love it as much as some of my other palettes that I owned. But as I started to use it more and started using the right brushes on it, I realized that the shades really blend well. Especially the some of the shades that are kind of right in this middle section are kind of like our brighter pinks and our reds, which are kind of hard to blend. But these ones have blended really nicely, so I ended up really liking them because I didn't see any blotchiness on my eyes. And then you have some of these glittery shades right here, and then some of these neutral tones on the first 4 right here. These ones I've really loved just to kind of put underneath to make sure that all my shadow on top blends. And then if I'm just doing a simple look, a lot of times I'll kind of do black on the outer corner, and then I'll just put glitter in the inner. And this one has really made my eyes pop. So this is why I give this a 9 out of 10. The next palette is going to be the Morphe Jaclyn Hill. This is from her Vault collection. This one is in Dark Magic. So when you open it, I will show you again sort of how much I used. So in here, you're going to see lots of greens and blues and just very, very dark colors. Now, I'm going to give this palette a solid 7 out of 10. I do really, really like the blues and greens in here, but I am not a fan of some of these shades in here, as I'm kind of pointing to. The only ones that I used really are these 3 right here and these 2. Those are really the only 5 that I use, and sometimes I'll use the black, but all the other ones I don't. So I give it a 7 out of 10 just because I don't have use for all of the colors, which is partially my fault for picking a palette like this. But I will say for the shades that I do use, they do blend very nicely. There's a lot of product in each little panel here, so I find that to be really good. It is really cheap. It is Morphe, so I can't complain for the price and what I've been using. Considering how much I paid, I don't really care that I don't use all the shades. So that is why I give it a 7 out of 10 though, just because I don't find use in all of it, and just some of the shades just come out really weird. The next palette I'm going to be reviewing is going to be the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I'm going to rate this palette, unfortunately, a 3 out of 10. The reason why I give this palette a 3 out of 10, as you can tell, I literally barely use it. So when I first got this palette, I noticed there is no pigmentation whatsoever. Now, it smells delicious, but seriously, like, if I just do one, like, it doesn't really come off that great. Like, look, you could barely even see the pink that I just did. Like, obviously, the black is gonna come out really strong because I feel like blacks always do, but I don't know, I just am not a huge fan of this palette. When I use it, the color doesn't come off good on my eyelid. I don't feel like it blends very well either. It just looks very patchy. A lot of the colors it's very random. Like, I don't really know what their vision was for this palette. Like, there's purples, pinks, greens, browns, like, I don't know if they were trying to give you a little bit of everything, but I feel like if they were giving you a little bit of everything, they should have went more normal. They should have did a more normal pink, a more normal yellow. So sadly, I do give it a 3 out of 10. I don't really recommend this palette, especially if you're looking for pigmentation and something that's going to blend well, then stay away from this one. My next palette is going to be the Naked 3 Urban Decay palette. Now, before I give you my review, just go ahead and kind of look. So I used to use this a lot when I was younger, so as you can tell, like, some are used, but I give this palette a 1 out of 10. Yes, this is one of the most famous palettes out there that everybody loves. They love the whole Naked collection. I, unfortunately, am just not a fan. I feel like there's no pigmentation whatsoever. It doesn't blend at all. These are meant to be basic colors, so I understand they're supposed to be more for undertones, but I don't even find that it does that for me. Like, I don't know, like, that pink you can barely see. that's supposed to be brown and it comes out like a purpley. Like, I just don't understand this palette. I do like that it gives you the big mirror, so if you're traveling and you need a mirror to do your makeup on, that's really nice. I honestly wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend other palettes over this, and especially the price of this one. It's not like it's cheap, so I just stay away from this one. The next palette is going to be the Morphe Nature Glow 350. So this one I recently got for a gift. I'm going to go ahead and open it and show you kind of what I've used and did not. This one I haven't really gotten a chance to dive in much because it is a newer palette, but for the colors that I've dived in so far, I absolutely love this palette and I give it a 10 out of a 10. I can honestly not complain about Morphe. They totally just, it's so cheap, the colors are so pigmented, they blend well, it's everything you need. There's days where I'm not trying to go too crazy, I'm not trying to use colors, I will fall to this palette. It just has your neutral browns, your beige, your whites, and then it has some fun orange colors that you can play around with if you are trying to go a little bit more bright, but as you can tell, it's still nothing crazy. So I do really, really like this palette, especially for the price. You get so many shades. There's so much in each panel. This is just going to last me a really, really long time. And it's also super, super thin, which I like. So if I'm trying to travel with this, it fits really nice in my suitcase. The next palette that I'm going to be doing a review on is the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one. And I'm going to show you kind of what I got going on inside. So this one I have definitely played around with a little bit more than the last Morphe palette that I showed you guys, but I have noticed that some of these colors sadly don't blend as well as I wish they did, so I am going to give this palette a 6 out of a 10. I do like some of the colors. For example, I really like these lighter ones up here. I like to dive into some of these reds and oranges, but the colors that I find that don't blend well are these four right here. I know those colors are normally hard to begin with, like you really have to take your time and blend a lot longer than you would a more neutral shade, but there is palettes out there that have colors like this and don't take as long to blend. It is really cheap, so is why I give it a 6 out of 10, because I don't expect it to be perfect for the price, and they do give you a lot of shades to work with. And finally, the last palette that maybe you guys have all been waiting for is the Morphe James Charles palette. Can we just talk about this for a second before I even rate this palette? There is every single color you can ever want in this palette, and they blend so perfectly. So this palette right here, I give like 1,000 bajillion. I just give it any number in the freaking world that is higher than 10. So yes, this is going to be a 10 out of a 10 for this palette. I freaking love this. So these colors down here, which are the teals and the blues and the purples and the greens, they blend so nicely. I don't have to sit there and blend for like 30 minutes. I still do have to take some time with blending, but this one doesn't take me as long as some other palettes do. Even the pinks and the purples are really good, and the glitter, which is like what a lot of people complained about in this palette, they said like they weren't pigmented enough. I mean, I barely swatched that, and look how pigmented that is. Like, even like, I mean, you cannot go wrong with how pigmented those glitters are when I barely touch them. I also really like that they gave you like a white and a yellow here. Those are really good for under eye. It's kind of like the crayons that you got as a little kid. Like, these are the colors that come in there, which is what I like to play around with. I don't really like playing around with like weird colors when they try to like make their own things, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But this palette I do really, really like. Also, it is really big, so unfortunately this one is hard to travel with, so this is not one that I bring around with me. It's one that stays home. But you can't really complain because it's so cheap. You get so many colors in, and not every palette can travel with me. Alrighty guys, so that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys liked this. If you guys like these videos and want to see more, leave down in the comments below what would you like to see. Also, for next video, if you want to be shouted out, then leave in the comments down below what palettes you like and dislike, and I will shout out one of you guys in my next video. And make sure you smash that subscribe button so you're notified for the next video that I post. So I will talk to all of you guys later. Bye!